Okay, hello, and welcome back to the Broken Business Models podcast. We're your hosts, Ryan and James. And before we get into today's podcast, just a quick disclaimer how we start all of our podcasts. Nothing in this podcast or any of our other materials should be taken as investing advice. We are simply exercising our First Amendment rights uh, to share our opinion based on publicly available information. We could be taking any type of position in any of the stocks that we mention in today's podcast without notice. You should always do your own work, consult a professional before making any investment decision. So with that being said, a few weeks ago we put out a video about Bitcoin mining as an industry, and in that video we kind of talked about how the entire industry is unfavorable when it comes to the investor's perspective. There are several publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies, many of which went public via SPAC, kind of at the peak of the crypto and SPAC bubbles. We think the entire industry is unfavorable and for a variety of reasons, but the individual Bitcoin mining companies themselves each are a little bit unique. So today, in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about one in particular that has some particularly unique characteristics. So, James, do you want to introduce Hut 8 mining?
So Hut 8 Mining is um, a Bitcoin mining company based in Canada. It's currently in the process of acquiring another Bitcoin miner called US Bitcoin Corporation, and at the pro forma market cap of the combined company is a little under $900 million after the acquisition goes through. It's an all stock acquisition. So kind of as Ryan was talking about before, if you haven't watched it yet, I would highly recommend watching the video we made about a month ago on the Bitcoin mining industry. The kind of Spark Notes version of it is there's a limited amount of Bitcoin that can be mined at any given time. And then because there's been such a massive influx of Bitcoin miners, the costs to mine the Bitcoin, both in terms of electricity and depreciation, ends up being far greater than the value of the Bitcoin that is actually mined. So all of the publicly traded Bitcoin miners are losing money, and Hut 8 is no exception. And the company they're acquiring, which is currently private, US Bitcoin Corp, is also losing money. So if you have an acquisition of a money losing Bitcoin miner plus another money losing Bitcoin miner, which is Hut 8 and US Bitcoin Corp, all you get is a larger money losing Bitcoin miner. Um, but what's particularly interesting about Hut 8 is they don't only do Bitcoin mining, they have another segment called high performance compute. And this came about in January of 2022 when they acquired the data center business of a Canadian company called Terrago. Now, this was a pretty small acquisition. They paid 30 million Canadian dollars to Terrago to get this data center business, and it generated 17 million of revenue for the year of 2022. So, uh, but they acquired this business, and then they created their high performance computing division or segment, which is meant to diversify their business away from the core business of Bitcoin mining. And the big bull case that Hut 8 is trying to put out there for this new high performance compute segment is artificial intelligence. So, obviously, with ChatGPT and all of the AI, generative AI that's come out over the past year or so, um, AI computing has been kind of a big, very hot industry, and Hut 8 has tried to take a piece of that. Now, obviously, if you've been paying attention to artificial intelligence, you would know about NVIDIA. They make GPUs, which are used in artificial intelligence. Now, NVIDIA makes many different GPUs. They make smaller GPUs that individuals can buy, and then they also make massive GPUs that are extremely expensive and only purchased by large enterprises. So, on Hut 8's website, they talk about the specific NVIDIA GPUs that they bought. They're called the A40s. Now, the NVIDIA A40 GPU costs about $5,000 each. And if you compare that to the ones that the large hyperscalers, say Amazon Web Services, Azure, and Google Cloud, are buying, they're buying the NVIDIA A100 or variants of it, which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each. So the ones that these hyperscalers are buying are way more expensive and way more powerful than what Hut 8 is buying. So it looks like Hut 8 is building kind of a subscale, small AI data center, which probably can't compete with the hyperscalers. So that's what it looks like just based on the technology that they're buying. But on June 5th, Hut 8 published what they call a case study. It's a case study of their AI data centers. And so they published it on Twitter and also promoted it in um, a Canadian IT publication. So, see, discover how XYZ AI partnered with us, Hut 8, to use Hut 8's high performance computing power to revolutionize generative AI for the gaming industry. So it sounds very promising, right? There's some AI startup that is using their technology to make a revolutionize the gaming industry. And so in this case study, so this they published this case study on June 5th, 2023. You can see on there, this is on their official Twitter. It's from June 5th, 2023. So this case study would have had to happen on or before June 5th. And they say XYZ AI is a stealth mode venture stage 3D generative AI company. So it's obviously the company's name is not actually XYZ AI. It's a stealth mode company, which means they have not yet made their name public. So this XYZ, it's a confidential company. So the XYZ is just a placeholder. It's not the company's actual name. So XYZ AI was searching for GPUs to do their basically to do their AI, right? And after evaluating several providers, XYZ AI selected Hut 8 to support their generative AI text to image model. Leveraging Hut 8's high performance compute backed by NVIDIA GPUs and composable infrastructure, XYZ AI provisioned virtual servers with custom resource clusters to optimize their models, enabling XYZ AI to scale model training and successfully move to production. Through this work, XYZ AI was able to train their machine learning model all the way through production. So it sounds like a big success, right? Um, they were able to use Hut 8's NVIDIA GPUs and their other data center infrastructure to complete their AI generative AI model. So XYZ AI would be a customer of Hut 8's. This all sounds great, but the problem is when Hut 8 is currently in the process of merging with US Bitcoin Corp. And so whenever you do a large merger, you have to file a Form S4. And in the Form S4, you have to give a huge amount of financial disclosures uh, about about your business. So as part of the Form S4, Hut 8 is required to disclose in very fine detail exactly what their business does and exactly what is the business of their high performance compute segment. And this is a paragraph, this is a screenshot from their Form S4. It says Hut 8 recently began offering access to its graphic processing units, GPUs. So that's the NVIDIA GPUs for high performance computing in areas of traditional data centers and emerging technologies like AI and machine learning. As of the periods for which historical financial statements are included in this prospectus, no customer contracts for these services has been entered into by Hut 8, and no revenues for these services has been recognized by Hut 8. So during this period, there has been no contracts and no revenue related to AI or GPUs. And what is that period? Well, it's the period for which historical financial statements are included, and that includes the 6 months ended June 30th, 2023. So up until June 30th, 2023, Hut 8 is telling us that they have no contracts and no revenue related to AI or GPUs. Yet on June 5th, before which is significantly before this, they were bragging about their case study with XYZ AI using NVIDIA GPUs. And if you look at the case study, they specifically say backed by NVIDIA GPUs. So here they're saying they used NVIDIA GPUs, but then here there is no contracts and no revenue. So this really begs the question: does this XYZ AI even exist? Because Hut 8 itself is saying there's no contracts. So here are our questions for Hut 8's management team to address our concerns. And really, we only have one question: is XYZ AI real? And if they are real, why is there no contract and no revenue? Um, so I think that, if we go back to the big picture, as we were talking about earlier, the Bitcoin mining industry is a very unfavorable industry. Hut 8 Mining is losing money in their Bitcoin mining operations. US Bitcoin Corp is also losing money. And when they saw that, and then now they have this AI thing, which appears to not even be real because their customer, it appears they're not even generating any revenue from them. So it looks like, frankly, a stock promotion where they're trying to pull the wool over investors' eyes. And so, like, oh, maybe our Bitcoin mining's not working, but we're going to hop onto the next buzzword bandwagon, which is AI, even though there is no AI revenue. And if you look at the specifications of their technology, they're not even close to being to competing with the hyperscalers in terms of these in terms of the very cheap and not really top of the line NVIDIA GPUs that they're buying.
So then, James, my question is why would Hut 8 Mining want to acquire this um, uh, data center company if like they if the business is unviable? Like, do they just hope that they can make it viable?
Well, I mean, they bought these Nvidia GPUs and they, I guess, thought that maybe they could make it viable. But another thing is, I mean, they're putting out these press releases, right? And putting out these case studies with XYZ AI. And maybe they think it's just, I mean, the most cynical way to view it is it's just a stock promotion. And they just want the stock price to go up. And obviously, with all the buzz and all the hype around AI and ChatGPT, if you can, put out some fancy presentation with the words AI on it, maybe they think that'll drive investor interest. But I mean, it's just so weird that you put out this case study when you admit in your filings that you have zero AI revenue.
So you're saying basically like they used to be a blockchain company, now they want to also be a AI company by doing this acquisition, and
Yeah,
whether or not it actually makes sense or is working out.
yeah, it seems like they're just jumping on whatever is the latest bandwagon. It doesn't really make sense. Like there's no way that they could compete with like the established hyperscalers. We know this because they're buying these $5,000 Nvidia GPUs while the hyperscalers are buying these ones that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars each, the A100s, while they're only buying these A40s. And then also another thing that you have to understand is that the a Bitcoin mining company, the computers that a Bitcoin miner buys, they're application specific integrated chips. Okay, so the Bitcoin mining rigs cannot be used for AI or pretty much any other use case. They basically can only be used for mining Bitcoin. So a Bitcoin mining company has no particular expertise or ability or infrastructure to do AI data center. They're completely different things. So the fact that they're doing this they acquire this very small company for $30 million, and it doesn't really make strategic sense. but it does allow them to try to rebrand themselves as an AI company, even if this is not the reality.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in knowing more about like why they're not reporting any revenue. Like even if it's not the extreme of this XYZ AI company is non-existent, and like there still needs to be some explanation
Yeah. And I think that
for in
until
that
we
case
can
why
get
isn't there revenue.
and until the management of HUD 8 mining can provide a reasonable explanation for what's going on here, I think all investors should be very concerned with the stock. So that wraps it up for what we had to talk about HUD 8 mining. As always, if anyone in the audience has anything else to add, maybe any information you think we might have missed, please let us know in the comments section below. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next one.